Good day, everyone. How's it going? Happy Sunday. All right. Today I have got a set of 3 jars just like this. This is going to be the first one that I'm going to do with you guys today. Now, I've already kind of prepped this. After a good thorough wash, rub that down with alcohol. The lids for these, this is just a, reused jar. Cleaned out the lid itself, cleaned off any text that was on there. And then I've just taped in a quick grid just to make sure I don't accidentally move, because I find definitely that working on cylindrical items like this, it's really, really easy. So just, save myself a little bit of trouble in the long run. All right, so colors that I've got for us today. I'm going to use the Ultra Blue Deep. We're going to be putting in Blue Harbor. I have got my favorite Hauser. This is the medium today. And then Warm Buff. This one is actually an older apple barrel that I have, and that's just because I didn't quite have a deco art one that I could adjust, and this is exactly what I wanted. All right, so I'm going to be using that one. Because we are working on glass, I've got the glass medium handy here. And I haven't filled up my palette yet, so I'm going to be doing that. The tools, as always, I've got up here are the... Actually, let's see. What sizes do I have up here? I have got everything up to a 9. I'll probably be using the 9 as quite a lot, actually. These are the Happy Dotting Company tools. And then for swooshes today, my go-to is just my 0.5 nail art stylus. Okay, I've got a couple of Q-tips standing by in case there's a mistake. Wet washcloth to wipe everything off, and let's go. All right, I'm gonna shake you for a second. I'm gonna get my paints all shook up. Okay, let's get the blues in first. Okay, I'm gonna give this buff an extra shake. Again, since this one is apple barrel, the consistency is not always fantastic. So I did give that an extra good shake. We'll see what that turns out like. And then let's get the medium in. That was really loud. Okay, so for the medium, I'm actually just going to be adding just a small little drop here to each of these. Okay, we'll get that put away, and then let's get this mixed. Although I am using a medium, you don't necessarily have to oven cure the items. The glass medium works really, really well, but I'm still going to, because these particular items, I do want to be able to keep, give away, or sell and use for whatever, right? So I don't have, they're not just decorative. I did make sure that the insides of the lids, for example, were cleaned and remained intact so they could be completely resealed. I don't want to paint around the rim or the underside of the lid, because if I use them for storage, I usually like these for stuff from my garden, right? Herbs or whatever. But, dog treats are fantastic in these, anything edible. I just want to make sure they're nice for, of course, you could just throw them in the bathroom and put Q-tips in them or whatever you want to do, but I just want to make sure that if I don't keep these, if it is something that leaves my possession, that whatever somebody wants to do with them, they can do that with them. And that does include if they want to use it for something edible, that it's washable. All right, so they can just throw this in the sink. I still don't ever recommend anybody using the dishwasher, but technically it is going to be dishwasher safe. Top rack. So, okay. Enough of me yakking while I do that. Okay. I'm going to be using primarily just a couple of sizes. I think I'm going to start out with the 9. Let's see. All right, guys, I'm going to move you up just a little. There we go. Kim, I don't want to be shoving this in your face. All right, so we're going to go with the darkest color. Now I'm going to do something a little bit different as far as this center is concerned. So let's go into the blue to start. Let's get that nice and heavy. Okay. Now what I want to do, instead of actually going in a circle around this, I'm actually going to use, you know, like with maybe a 1 or a 2 or something like that, I'm actually going to use the same size. Actually, let's see, how do I... Okay, I'm just thinking about how this will stretch out. Okay, let's do this. Okay, let's get this one here. Okay. All right. Get this wiped off. Okay, so that's my 9. I'm actually going to go down to an 8, and then we're going to add in stuff around it here. For that, I'm going to shift to the light blue. Okay, and we're just going to put a dot in each one of these little nooks here. Doesn't look like much right now. I know. It will. Don't worry. Right now it just looks like a bunch of funky dots. Doesn't even look like much. Okay, so let's do that. Now let's get into this warm buff. It's got a lot of bubbles. See, in the decor, it doesn't typically do that either. So, all right, let me just get those out of there. Make sure that I don't have any wacko things going on. Yeah, I would prefer not to use it, but it is what it is and it'll work. Okay, so let's see, how about I am missing a tool. Where in the world did that go? There she is. She was hiding. Let's see, I'll do a 2. Maybe even a 2.5. Everything's a little scaled up from a previous design. Yep, you know what? I think a 2.5 might even be better. Okay, so let's go 2.5. Let's get a top dot or a dot on the top here. Now we're going to go down to the 2 and we're going to make some walk dots around here. Theoretically, we should be able to get 5. Okay. Let's get the other side. Now, pardon if my hand is in the way at any point. Okay. We're getting there. Little odd angle here. Let's move this, turn it around. Okay, now let's get into some swooshes. Probably go with 3 here. And as you can see, I mainly am just using this grid underneath, so I have a good idea of sort of how it's going to come out here, and using these lines versus these because, yeah. All right. So here's our green. What we're going to do, I'm just going to get 1 dot here. Okay. And then we're just going to bring this all the way down. And that ran. Okay. All right. And we're going to keep doing that. All the way around, we're going to do this on both sides. Now for the swooshes, again, I'm just taking this side first that is closest and dragging it down. Just pulling paint. Grabbing the other side and down to the edge there. And then for each of these, that dot is again going to sit right between the first landing dot and the second. Okay. All right, there's one side. I'm going to wipe off my tools. Let's make sure that I start the other side clean. Just want to make sure that as we go through, there's enough paint on everything that you don't see any lines from pulling the paint, and more or less that the swooshes are rounded here, right here at this joint. So they look like a long teardrop, not just something with a tail, not just the dot with the tail. And I do have the jar up on kind of an angle here. I do have some ends underneath just to make sure it holds steady. So hopefully the angle is okay for you all. See the best angle to get in on this top one. Wouldn't be the first time that I've put my hand right in the middle of something. Now this will all get dressed up too. There's going to be multiple top dots on this, so even though it looks a little plain right now, it won't when it's done. Okay. So let's see. Let's go maybe. Nah, you know what? We need to put something in here. All right, let's go 1.5 dark blue. And I'm going to get a line in right here. Okay, we're going to do this all the way around. That one's a little short. I may come back in with like a 0.5 and fill that in. Doesn't necessarily need it though, I think. Let's make sure I don't miss any. Okay, yep, I have one here. There we go. Now let's go to, I guess maybe, we can go higher than that. What I want to do is get a dot that not necessarily completely fills this space, but I do want something nice and hefty here. So let's do a 6. We're going to go into the light blue. These swooshes are going to be a little shorter, a little fatter. Let's see, about right here-ish. Okay, pull from the top all the way through, down, pick one side, and meet that, pick the other and meet it. See, now this is where the grid is actually coming in handy a little more here, because now I can see exactly what line so that I'm consistent throughout. Now this paint is pretty okay. I'm not really having any issues with it dripping. It does get a little bit of a heavy bottom if I'm not careful about rotating it a little bit, meaning that, like, for example, if I were to keep it just like this, then the paint on this swoosh is going to hang here and gravity's just going to pull it down. So just kind of be aware of that when you dry it, or make sure that the paint that you're using is thick enough that it doesn't run. Okay. And again, on these, I am not cleaning my tools between them. Okay. Get a sip of coffee every now and again. You know, it still is a Sunday morning. And yeah, this is done nice and slow. I'm in no rush. I don't have a deadline. This one's a little off. What I'm gonna do, even though I use a glass medium, the glass medium adheres really, really, really well. I love that stuff. Just be careful if you do make any mistakes like that and you do have to correct it. Make sure that you do it as soon as you can. Otherwise, that stuff ain't coming off. You're going to be pulling out the acetone to try to get that off. Yeah, that's better. All right, so there we are so far. Okay, clean my tool off here. Let's go down maybe to a 3. Yeah, 3 is good. Okay, I'm gonna get a couple dots on the top, a little crown on the top here in my dark blue. Okay. Okay. There we go. I'm going to turn that around. I just noticed I've got blue on my fingers. That actually comes because it's on the towel that I'm wiping my tool off on, so I gotta be careful. Randomly end up with paint somewhere. Gonna wipe my hands off here. Just make sure that I don't get that smeared somewhere it shouldn't be. I don't necessarily mind if it ends up on me. I can handle that. I can wash that, but I don't want it on here anywhere. Those two are going to get a little, pardon me, a little bit of an extra touch after. Okay, and then let's do, what size was that? I think a 6. I think a 6 would be a little big. I'm going to go with a 5.5 here. With that, let's also stick with the dark blue. Okay, and I'm going to start with 1 dot. And then I'm going to add another one on top of it. Kind of make sure my directions. All right, because the flowers, as you could, I don't know if you can really tell. Like for example, this one kind of goes this direction. This one a little bit here, right? So they don't exactly go completely straight. So that's why I wanted to put the first dot on and then do the second one, because now this one, instead of going straight up, I'm going to go with its curve a little here, and I'm going to put it there. Okay. So they're just a little bit to the left. A little bit counterclockwise. There. Okay, get my hands cleaned up again. Let's see here. I'm going to make some walked dots along the top of these. I kind of want them small, so let's do a 1.5 instead of a 2. And again, keep that angle in mind. And doing this, you may not actually want to use a grid underneath. The other reason that I put something in here too is because sometimes when I I'm recording or streaming on glass, if there isn't something behind the design, it's really hard to see. It gets kind of weird for the viewer. So, but you may not actually even want to use any kind of grid as long as you know where your center point is going to be, especially with this pattern. I think it's much easier because all of these are the same size, and so you can really easily get them around. You'll know exactly how many dots you're going to get around the middle circle, so there's not really any adjusting, and then you can easily make these out. So I think this is one of the easier patterns to do for a beginner, especially if you're going to be doing or experimenting with one free hand. This is an excellent starting one. Okay, so I'm in a 1. You know what? As I look at that, I'm going to go down to a 0.5. Yeah, I like that. 0.5. Oops. Very small, but they do make a lot of difference. See if I can get myself in here. Oops. I'm gonna lift it up. Okay, so that was a 1.5. I'm gonna go up to a 2.5, and we're gonna do another row. We can do that in green. We don't have a ton of green in this, obviously, so just sort of a little accent. So we're gonna do that with green. I'm gonna get some paint off my tool here. If you're doing something similar, you may want to wait even just an hour, 30 minutes. Let the paint dry just a little bit before doing this. Just because as as this creeps over the edge, again, you're going to get potential dripping. You're going to get a heavy head on the paint. Okay, now down to a 1.5 for the walk. Okay. it's easier for you, just pull it into your lap. I mean, I'm kind of doing this, you know, a little awkwardly just to keep it underneath the camera here. But you definitely don't need to. You can just hold it. Sometimes that's actually a lot easier. So I'm gonna go over these ones a little. Okay, wanted those ones slightly larger. All right. Just make sure I didn't touch the paint to anything over there. That looks super funny. I did that upside down. Can you tell? Okay, hold on. Gotta get another Q-tip. Can't find my other Q-tips. I'm just gonna use my cloth. Hold on. Hold on a second here. Okay. Okay, there. I think the other one rolled off the table or something. Disappeared. Went AWOL. Okay. All right, let's try that one again. I'm gonna give it just a second to dry since I touched it with a wet cloth. I don't want anything on that. There. Now, let's see, let's go into this light blue here. I am using the one size side of my dotting tool to make these swooshes. I'm just going to pick this up. Much easier to hold it. Okay. I'm actually going down to the second notch here and dragging that down. Okay, that's one. And I think I'm going to do another one in the dark blue. I'm going to stay the same size though. I'm going to keep the one, so let me just get that washed off. Okay. And then we're going to go into the dark blue. And then I'm just going to take this down one notch. So essentially we're going to be 1, 2, 3. We're going to be down here sort of in the middle. Try this one. Oops. Okay. Okay. Mostly just odd angles making this difficult, nothing else. Okay. Oops. Again, another one of those weird ones, weird angles. Oops, my thing came out there. Try doing it from up here. Okay, there we go. And how many more have I got? 2. Running out of paint, can you tell? At this point, I'm just going to take this out. There we go. It's better. Now, I do need to do some top dots here. My only hesitation is these are not going to be dry yet. So let's see. These ones especially, you can probably see on some of these, it's like more flat here, a little smidge shinier here. You can just see where it's dried in some places and not others. So I'm kind of going to give it a second here. These ones are definitely more dry than these heavy large ones here in the center, and these as well. So I'm going to go a little bit backwards just for the sake of time here. Okay. I'm going to grab a 2. totally backwards. Totally backwards. You definitely want to start in the middle and work out, but you know. Just gonna do what I can. If you were to try to put the top dots on before it was really dry enough, you're gonna end up with a mess. Of course I've done that before. Of course, especially in the beginning, I was way too eager to do stuff. And you essentially end up with the two paints kind of mushing together. I don't even know how to explain it. It's awful. Just don't do that. Okay. There's those ones. Okay. Let me go to like a 2.5. I can even go to a 3. Yeah, let's do the top dots on this one here. These ones are dry enough. Whoops. And these are all going to get a second set of top dots as well. So we're going to be waiting for that to dry. Like I said, I'm in no hurry. I don't know if anyone else is, but I might just kind of take this slow and see how much I can get done on camera for you. Okay, there's that. Gonna go up to a 4. Trying to stir my paint just a smidge. Awful, awful, awful. Okay. All right. Nope, let me do a little better here. Sure there's no bubbles. There. Okay. 4. These ones that I'm doing now are not going to get a second dot on top. I'm going to leave these this color. It's all right, my hand's going to be completely in the way for that one. Okay. I went into a 5. Now we're going to do these. Like I said, sorry, totally backwards. I know. I know. And I'm just keeping the top dots right down at the bottom. Want them all to kind of point towards the center. Now the last thing I'm going to do, I won't be able to do this now. There's just no way. So, sorry. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to take the beige and I'm going to put another dot on top of this light blue one, again here in the center. Except right now the paint is just far too wet and I don't think I'm going to have enough time to kind of sit with you and wait until that dries. We literally don't want to sit here and watch paint dry. So I'll do that part off camera here as soon as that gets dry. But essentially that's it. That is all there is to this. So I will tell you as far as the finishing goes though. Now, once everything is completely dry, like I said, I am using the glass medium. So with the glass medium, you could just leave this as is. It's not like it's going to scratch off or peel off. That's exactly what the glass medium is for. It's going to make sure that the color sticks to this non-porous surface. Okay. However, I am going to oven cure this. I'm going to leave this for at least 24 hours and maybe even quite a bit longer because it's been so hot here. I don't really want to be using an oven. Really don't want to turn on my oven. But whenever this is at least 24 hours dry, I'm going to drop this in the oven. You want to put glass in the oven, say like on a cookie sheet or whatever. I will just stand these up. You don't want to cover the hole. You don't, like, for example, want to tip them over where the top of the jar is actually covered in some way. You want to leave that completely open so air can circulate. Put it in the oven ice cold. Okay. Then turn on your oven to preheat. And because I'm going to use a medium, I'm going to do a 300 degrees Fahrenheit. When it's preheated, at that point, I'm going to set a timer for 30 minutes. Once the 30-minute timer has elapsed, turn off the oven, leave this in it, and leave it alone. Don't open it to peek. Leave it alone. Walk away. Turn your oven off and walk completely away. Leave it for as long as you possibly can until the oven is, again, ice cold. Okay, sometimes that takes more than an hour. Just leave it. I mean, don't do it on a day where you're going to be baking or cooking something else. You know, don't have dinner planned for later that evening using the oven, right? Because then you may just pull this out too soon. The problem and the reason you want to do that is because it can crack, right? If you heat this up to 300, 350, and you pull it out too soon and it cools off too quickly, it could crack, it could shatter, depending on, you know, what you're actually doing. These jars, I've never actually seen them shatter, but they can crack. And especially if they have any defects in them to begin with. So before you do anything on glass, make 100% sure that they are like perfect, right? That there's not any chips or scratches in them to begin with, or maybe bubbles from the processing. You don't really get to see that a whole lot in commercial glass, but You know, you don't want any bubbles or imperfections in there just in case. You would hate to paint something and then have it just completely crack and be ruined. But otherwise, that's it. Like I said, the only other thing that I'm going to do is put those top dots here in the center, and we're going to call it done. And then I have 2 more of these. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use the same pattern, but I'm going to shift the colors. The only thing that I'm going to keep the same is probably the green. And again, this is the medium Hauser. So I'll keep the green the same so that kind of have something to carry over into each of them to tie them together. So I'll have the pattern in one color. The other 2, I haven't decided yet on what the colors are. I think maybe one of them will probably be, I'm thinking maybe purple, shades of purple. And then I've already made this particular pattern for something else in shades of rose and Merlot, but oh gosh, it was gorgeous. So I might do that again. I might do the Merlot, burgundy, something like that, and then do like a light purple for another one. That might be a good combination, or even something like a really dark teal. I've been doing a lot in teal, so I kind of want to stray away from that. I kind of want to get us into something else. I have some coral. I have some really pretty coral colors that might look cool together. If you guys have any ideas, if you want to see a specific color, because I know I kind of have some shades that I really, really like, and some people might be really bored of that by now. But yeah, if there's something you want to see on one of them, then let me know. All right, but thank you so much, anyone that has dropped by today. I certainly do appreciate it. And again, I have 2 more of these to do. I will be back at some point, probably live, to get those painted as well. So if you're new here, if you're just stopping by today, if you're interested in seeing those, make sure you subscribe, and I'll check back with you later. Take care and enjoy your Sunday.